He gets on here and he want to defend Diddy, defend him. You might be on some of them tapes. 9 times out of 10, you good at making tapes. You know the tapes that you made before in the past that made the internet. I'm not gonna speak on that, Mighty, not at all. You understand? Because you got a young lady that's doing her thing in it and she don't need to be spoken on. But, you know, everybody who knows what I'm talking about, they know the tapes that made the internet with Stevie J before.
When all this Diddy drama started exploding, practically everyone was running for the hills. Everyone except Stevie J. And like Gene D pointed out, there's probably a really good reason for that. He's likely neck deep in whatever Diddy was doing. Think about it. Stevie J was already caught up in allegations about getting illegal weapons for Diddy and helping organize those notorious f***-off parties. No wonder he's out here defending him.
My man would never break the law. We don't do that. We're law-abiding citizens. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? This is another crucifixion of a black legend.
But hold on to your seats, because this is where it gets absolutely shocking. Apparently, one of the women he allegedly sold to Diddy was his ex, Eve. And now sources are saying Eve's been spilling all the tea about what really went down. And honey, it is not pretty. Now, let's talk about how Stevie J tried to show his support for Diddy. He posted this video from Diddy's 50th birthday bash back in December 2019, trying to show everyone what a real Diddy party looked like. But guess what? He deleted that post real quick. Maybe because now everybody knows exactly what went down at those real Diddy parties. And this is the same guy who had the nerve to claim that he and Diddy are such law-abiding citizens and that Diddy would never do any of the things he's being accused of.
I don't know whatever someone does in their bedroom, that's what they do. I don't got nothing to do with that. I'm just here to say that I've never seen my man doing anything foul like they talking about.
None of it. All of it.
I've never seen it. I've known him for 29 years. And then it's like with guys like 50, you know what I'm saying? Like Uncle Tom cats like that.
When the feds raided Diddy's houses, Stevie J was right there in the middle of it all. He went around telling everyone how the federal agents came in guns blazing, made him put his hands up, and slapped handcuffs on him during the search. According to him, all they left with was one little bag of potential evidence. But here's the real tea. Most people think Stevie J is only defending Diddy so hard because he knows he's in those they found. And even worse, he's probably terrified that everything he did to Eve is about to come to light, including allegedly selling her to Diddy. Speaking of Eve, she recently dropped her memoir, Who's That Girl? And let me tell you, she spilled all about her time in the music industry and her relationship with Stevie J. Let's rewind back to the 90s when this whole thing started. According to Stevie J's version of events, they met at one of Eve's video shoots. He claims they had the same publicist who asked him to show up. He brought his son Lil Stevie along, and supposedly Eve asked if he was single. Though he said no at first, he claims they reconnected right after he ended his previous relationship. Now, from the outside looking in, everyone thought they were this amazing power couple. But the reality? Eve went through absolute hell with Stevie J, and the details are just heartbreaking.
At that time, I was also in a relationship that was very toxic. That was not working.
Can you guys wave the camera here? It's a deal, camera.
She was in a relationship with another producer, Stevie J, and she would tell me she wasn't happy.
It wasn't good because here is this person I thought was the love of my life was just so unsupportive.
Here's the thing that makes this situation even more disturbing. Eve was only 19 years old when she met Stevie J and started dating him. She fell so head over heels that she even wrote one of her biggest hits, Got Man, to tell the world about her love. Eve even called him her first love, but oh honey, that fairy tale didn't last long. She soon discovered he was cheating on her with multiple women, and rumor has it one of them was Mimi F, who'd apparently been in Stevie J's life for at least 15 years. And it gets even worse. There were these horrible rumors going around that Stevie J's preference for unprotected intimacy led to him giving STDs to multiple women. Can you imagine? Many people think this, along with discovering all his other women, is what finally made Eve leave. You know what's really heartbreaking? Eve recently opened up about wishing she'd stood up for herself when she was younger. She said, "When I was younger, I didn't question things, but now I am annoying. If something doesn't feel right, speak up. If you feel like you're being lied to, speak up. If you feel like someone's trying to push you too fast, speak up." And she dropped this truth bomb. Anybody that knows your worth will stick around. They might not like talking about it, but if they argue with you, call you names, or walk out, they're not meant to be in your life anyway. While promoting her memoir, Eve made it crystal clear that dating Stevie J was one of her biggest regrets. When she stopped by Hot 97, she was talking about her wonderful relationship with British entrepreneur Maximilian Cooper when the topic of Stevie J came up. Her response? "I have not watched it. What can I say? I was young and dumb." And get this, her mom even texted her saying, "You dodged a bullet with that one." Talk about mother's intuition being right. But here's where things take an even darker turn. During their relationship, Eve and Stevie J made a private tape, and it ended up in exactly the wrong hands. Eve found herself being blackmailed for a huge amount of money by some mystery person. Now, for years, people have been saying Stevie J was the one who handed that tape over to the blackmailer, but in her Behind the Music episode, Eve claimed it was actually one of his ex-girlfriends who leaked it. Still, people have never stopped suspecting Stevie J was behind the whole thing.
You know what else she was original?
What?
Original tape.
I mean, why
yeah,
you
yeah,
even
yeah.
bringing that up?
You was one of the first.
I ain't put that shit out myself,
I know,
though.
nobody put out their
Yes,
sex
they
tape
did.
themselves.
They all the rest of them did. All
So all the rest of them
did.
have
Who
film
put out
crews.
this tape? I don't
Crazy
know.
ass Stevie J.
Why y'all just starting? I don't know.
You know damn well Stevie J put that mother effing tape out.
I don't know. Lip lock in stores today.
But the leaked tape might be just the tip of the iceberg, because multiple sources are now claiming that Stevie J actually sold Eve to Diddy during their relationship. And honestly, after everything that's come out, would anyone be surprised? I mean, Stevie J was specifically named in Lil Rod's lawsuit against Diddy, where it was alleged that Diddy had Stevie J and his son Justin Combs recruiting women for these parties. Apparently, Justin was told to find the younger ones, and Lil Rod even included photos showing Justin at these parties with girls who looked way too young to be there. So if Stevie J was in charge of getting the older women, you can see how selling Eve might have been part of his toxic behavior. And speaking of those parties, the lawsuit dropped another bombshell, claiming Diddy showed Lil Rod some X-rated material featuring Stevie J with another man. According to Lil Rod, Diddy tried to play it off as normal practice in the music industry, saying, "Look, even Stevie J is doing it. No wonder people think he's the one who leaked Eve's tape. He seems to have quite the history with these kinds of recordings." But wait, because this Eve Stevie J Diddy drama gets even more twisted when you add Jay-Z to the mix. Yes, you heard that right. Eve had an unpleasant encounter with Jay-Z too. What are the chances? In her book, Eve revealed this fascinating story about getting a phone call from Jay-Z right when her debut album was about to drop. According to her, Jay straight up told her that female rappers don't typically do well in the industry. As if that wasn't discouraging enough, she also had to deal with some label executive who had the audacity to suggest she should just give up and get pregnant instead. Throughout her memoir, Eve opened up about facing constant disrespect from industry executives, and naturally, when people heard about that phone call with Jay-Z, they assumed he was one of the disrespectful ones. But here's where it gets interesting. When Eve appeared on The Breakfast Club, she actually defended Jay-Z. She explained that she was really hesitant about including that story in her book because she knew how people would twist it. According to Eve, there wasn't anything malicious about what Jay said. It was actually just him stating facts and trying to help her manage her expectations.
Another good part in the book is, unbeknownst to Jay-Z, he put a battery in your back.
Yeah.
Early.
Yes. It's funny because that was one of those things that we were like, do we put this in there? Because I know how people get, but it's nothing bad about that. You know, it's one of those things where it was a very amazing phone call that I needed. That was one of those, I always felt like I was the underdog anyway. And he wasn't saying it out of malice or mean. That wasn't about that. It was facts, really.
It felt like he was trying to temper your expectations.
Yes, exactly. But I was like, okay, let me see. I'm gonna show you. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
But you know how the industry gossip mill works. People started claiming that Jay-Z must have called Eve after the book came out and pressured her to fix what she said about him. And honestly, given Jay's history, would anyone be shocked? But Eve wasn't having any of it. During an interview with Abro, she specifically addressed those media headlines suggesting Jay-Z was trying to discourage her. She insisted, "If you read the chapter, it is not so like that, and I didn't think in that moment that that man was trying to discourage me." When Abro pointed out that it seemed like Jay-Z was just trying to warn Eve about the challenges ahead, she enthusiastically agreed, adding, "For me, I took it as, okay, I hear you, but also let me see." Ebro mentioned how confused he was after seeing all these headlines painting a completely different picture from what was actually in the book. That's when Eve dropped this interesting detail. "Yeah, I got a phone call." She seemed genuinely grateful that Ebro brought this up, giving her a chance to set the record straight once and for all, because she felt her words had been twisted for clickbait. She emphasized, "Jay has always been the biggest supporter of who he supports." It was nothing like that. But here's where people's eyebrows really start raising. Many are suggesting that Jay-Z might have threatened Eve and forced her to change her story. And given Jay's history of similar situations, it wouldn't be completely out of character. But let's get back to the heart of this explosive story. What about those claims that Stevie J sold Eve to Diddy? When Eve talks about how toxic her relationship with Stevie J was, is this part of what she's been trying to tell us all along? The whole situation paints a disturbing picture of the music industry's dark underbelly. Here we have Eve, just a 19-year-old girl at the time, getting caught up in this web of powerful men, from Stevie J's alleged manipulation and exploitation to these mysterious interactions with Diddy and Jay-Z. The way her story keeps intersecting with these industry power players and how the narrative seems to shift whenever they're involved raises some serious questions about what really goes on behind closed doors. Think about it. We've got Stevie J, who's now implicated in Diddy's legal troubles and apparently helped recruit women for these parties. We've got Eve, who suffered through this toxic relationship only to potentially become another pawn in their games. And then there's Jay-Z, who somehow always manages to come out looking clean even when the initial story suggests otherwise. Is Eve finally trying to tell us her full truth through these carefully worded revelations in her memoir? Are we seeing just the surface of an even darker reality in the music industry? And most importantly, how many other young artists have similar stories they're afraid to tell? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Eve was actually sold to Diddy by Stevie J? Is this what she's been trying to tell us all along when she talks about how toxic that relationship was? Because something tells me we're just scratching the surface of this story, and there's probably a lot more that Eve still isn't ready or able to share.